Listen carefully, because what I am about to tell you can change the entire direction of your life. Too many people spend their days repeating the same patterns, waking up to the same frustrations, going through the same distractions, and then wondering why their life never changes. They dream of becoming stronger, more focused, more successful, but dreaming does nothing if the body, the mind, and the spirit remain stuck in the same cycle. Reinvention does not come by accident, it does not fall into your lap, and it is never given to you by others. Reinvention is earned through daily habits, through the choices you make each morning, each evening, and in every small moment in between. Today, I will give you 6 habits that have the power to reinvent you instantly, not in the sense of becoming someone else, but in the sense of uncovering the person you were always meant to be. If you truly live by these habits, you will feel the difference immediately, and the world will never look at you the same way again. 1. Rule your morning before the world rules you. The way you begin your morning determines the flow of your entire day. If you wake up late, rushing, already grabbing your phone to scroll through messages or answering problems that do not belong to you, you start your day as a servant, not as a master. From the very first hour, you are reacting, not creating, and this is why most people never feel in control of their lives. They allow the outside world, people's demands, social media, endless noise, to steal their energy before they even give themselves a chance to breathe. That is defeat before the battle even begins. But the man who rises with purpose, who guards those first sacred hours like a warrior, defends his ground, is the one who shapes his own destiny. When I trained, I woke before the sun because I understood something most people ignore. The hours before the world wakes are not ordinary hours. They are sacred. These moments are when your mind is most still, your spirit is undisturbed, and your focus belongs entirely to you. There is no noise, no distraction, no competing demand. It is just you and your will. If in those moments you move your body, even with something simple like stretching, push-ups, or a run, you awaken your strength. If you breathe deeply, meditate, or reflect, you awaken your spirit. If you set your intention, write down your goals, or visualize the kind of person you want to be that day, you awaken your mind. This is how you seize the morning before the world has a chance to seize you. Reinventing yourself begins not with grand gestures, but with small victories in these quiet hours. The man who wastes his mornings will spend the entire day chasing time, always behind, always overwhelmed, always trying to catch up. But the man who owns his mornings moves through his day with command, with presence, with direction. He does not chase the day follows him. If you want to reinvent yourself instantly, begin with this. Rise early. Take command of your energy and decide for yourself how you will live before anyone else decides for you. 2. Move daily. Your body is your temple. Your body is the vehicle through which your mind and spirit express themselves. If your body is weak, neglected, or constantly tired, it becomes a cage that traps your potential instead of a tool that carries it forward. Too many people want to reinvent themselves mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, yet they ignore the foundation, the body that carries them through each day. They live as though their mind can grow while their body remains stiff, heavy, and undisciplined, but this is impossible. When the body is neglected, the mind becomes clouded, the emotions become restless, and the spirit feels trapped. Reinvention cannot happen inside a prison of fatigue and weakness. It must be built upon the strength of a body that is awake, alive, and ready. When I trained, every punch I threw and every kick I delivered was not only about combat but about mastery of myself. The sweat, the pain, the repetition, all of it was a form of discipline. Training taught me that movement is not simply about muscles or speed. It is about sharpening the connection between the body and the mind. When you move daily, whether you are lifting weights, practicing martial arts, running, swimming, stretching, or even walking with deep intention, you remind yourself that you are alive and that your body is under your command. A body that moves is a body that obeys. A body that is stagnant soon controls its owner with laziness and resistance. Reinvention is not achieved by simply thinking of new ideas or setting lofty goals. It begins when you stand up and put your body in motion. Every drop of sweat carries away weakness. Every stretch breaks the stiffness that has been holding you back. Every disciplined movement reminds you that you are not a slave to inertia. You are the commander of your own energy. When you push your body to work, even when you don't feel like it, you send a signal to your mind that discipline is stronger than comfort, and that signal reverberates through every area of your life. Your body is your temple. Treat it with respect, fuel it with the right food, rest it when needed, and challenge it every single day. Because when your body is strong, your mind becomes sharper, your emotions become calmer, and your spirit has space to shine. But when your body is weak, everything else suffers, no matter how strong your dreams are. Reinvent yourself by moving daily, and you will discover that with each disciplined act of physical training, you are also shaping a stronger, clearer, more unstoppable version of yourself. 3. Guard your mind like a fortress. If you want to reinvent yourself, understand this truth. The mind is the command center of your entire existence. Every decision, every habit, every action you take begins first as a thought. A weak thought leads to a weak life, while a strong thought builds a strong foundation for everything you will ever become. Yet most people treat their minds like open doors, allowing every kind of influence to walk in freely. They let fear, doubt, jealousy, gossip, negativity, and the opinions of others come inside and sit at their table as if they belong there. Then they wonder why their life feels chaotic, why their confidence is broken, and why they cannot hold steady on the path they choose. If you do not guard your mind, you are like a man who leaves his fortress unprotected, vulnerable to every invader that passes by. Your thoughts are not harmless, they are seeds. Plant the wrong seeds, and soon weeds will take over the garden of your mind until there is no room for growth. Plant the right seeds, and over time they will grow into a forest of strength, wisdom, and clarity. Reinvention begins when you take full responsibility for what you allow into your mind. If you constantly consume negativity, whether from the people around you, the media you watch, or the voices of your own self-doubt, then that poison will shape your reality. But if you fill your mind with wisdom, with knowledge, with discipline, and with vision, then your life will reflect that strength. When I trained, I did not only train my body, I trained my mind. Every repetition was not only about physical power, but about mental focus. A punch was not simply muscle striking air, it was concentration, control, and awareness sharpened to a point. The mind is a weapon, but only if you sharpen it. If you leave it dull, if you allow it to rust with laziness, confusion, and fear, then it becomes a burden instead of a blade. Guard your mind like a fortress by being ruthless about what you let in. If someone constantly spreads doubt, cut their influence from your space. If certain habits waste your focus, replace them with habits that build clarity. If your own inner voice tells you that you are not enough, confront it, discipline it, and replace it with thoughts that push you forward instead of holding you back. Reinvention cannot happen if your mind is scattered, distracted, and weak. You must learn to control your inner dialogue, to direct your focus like a warrior aiming his strike. Read every day, not to fill your head with noise, but to strengthen your understanding. Reflect daily, not to overthink, but to gain clarity. Choose silence over gossip, books over meaningless distractions, and vision over comparison. The mind you build in private will become the life you live in public. Remember this: no man can reinvent himself until he first masters his own thoughts. The outside world will always try to invade, but you are the gatekeeper. Keep your fortress strong, guard your mind with discipline, and you will discover that the moment your thoughts change, your entire life begins to transform. Fourth discipline: over comfort, every day. If there is one truth that separates those who reinvent themselves from those who remain the same, it is this: comfort is the greatest enemy of transformation. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it quietly eats away at your strength, your willpower, and your spirit until you no longer have the ability to rise above mediocrity. People love comfort because it is easy, and ease is seductive. The soft couch, the extra hours of sleep, the distraction that keeps you from working, all of these things feel harmless, but they rob you of the discipline that builds greatness. Comfort is a slow poison, and the more you drink it, the weaker you become. When I trained, there were countless days when my body screamed for rest, when my muscles ached, and when my mind begged me to stop. But I understood something most people do not. Growth only comes when you step beyond what feels good. The punch that you throw after you are already tired. The kick you practice when your legs feel like lead. The push-up you force out when your arms shake with exhaustion. Those are the moments when transformation happens. Discipline is forged in discomfort. Anyone can train when they feel motivated, but true mastery is built when you continue even when every part of you wants to quit. That is when you separate yourself from the average, from the ordinary, from the weak. Reinvention does not come from moments of pleasure. It comes from a daily choice to resist the pull of comfort. If you only act when you feel like it, you will never rise above your old self. Comfort is a chain that binds you to who you have always been. Discipline is the sword that cuts that chain. Discipline means choosing the long-term gain over the short-term pleasure, choosing effort over ease, choosing the path that challenges you instead of the path that numbs you. Each time you say no to comfort and yes to discipline, you are creating a new version of yourself. That version is stronger, sharper, more resilient, and more capable of facing life's battles. Understand this: discipline is not about punishment, it is about freedom. The man who lives in comfort is a slave to his impulses. He eats whatever he craves, he sleeps whenever he feels tired, he avoids whatever feels difficult, and as a result, he is controlled by weakness. But the man who chooses discipline gains freedom. He is not ruled by laziness, he is not chained by fear, and he is not defeated by resistance. He becomes the master of himself, and therefore the master of his destiny. Reinvention is the natural reward of this kind of self-mastery, because every day of discipline builds upon the last until you have created a self that no one recognizes, not even the person you once were. So I tell you, my friend, stop chasing comfort. Comfort will never make you stronger. Comfort will never help you grow. Comfort will never reinvent you. Discipline is the fire that burns away weakness, and it is in that fire that you are reshaped into the person you were meant to become. Each day you must make this choice, and each day that you choose discipline over comfort, you are reborn into someone greater than you were yesterday. 5. Detach from noise and listen to yourself. Most people fail to reinvent themselves not because they lack strength, talent, or opportunity, but because they are trapped in the constant noise of the world around them. From the moment they open their eyes in the morning, they are bombarded by voices that do not belong to them, notifications flashing on their phone, endless opinions on social media, The judgments of family and friends, the comparisons from strangers, the distractions of entertainment, and the constant chatter of a society that wants you to live its way instead of your own. Slowly, without realizing it, they lose the ability to distinguish between what they truly desire and what the world has told them they should desire. They mistake the voices of others for their own inner voice, and they live out a script written by someone else. This is why they never change, why they never discover their true potential. You cannot reinvent yourself if you are trapped in the noise of the crowd. When I was young, I noticed something very important. True growth does not happen in the crowd, it happens in solitude. I would often step away from the noise, not because I disliked people, but because I needed to hear myself. Solitude gave me clarity. In the silence, I could analyze my fears, confront my weaknesses, and focus on my vision without being pulled in 100 directions. The world will always try to tell you who you are, but you must know yourself beyond their voices. In silence, I found freedom. It was there that I could see which of my thoughts were mine and which were borrowed from others. I realized that many of the limitations people tried to put on me were not truths, but reflections of their own doubts and fears. If I had accepted their noise, I would have lived small, but because I detached from it, I discovered the path that was truly mine. This is the power of detachment. It does not mean isolation for the sake of escape. It means creating the space where your spirit can breathe. When you detach from noise, you give yourself the chance to hear the voice inside you that has been buried under distractions. That voice is quiet at first, but it is powerful. It knows who you are, it knows what you want, and it knows what you must do to become the person you are meant to be. But it will never shout over the chaos. It speaks in whispers, and if you are always surrounded by noise, you will never hear it. Reinvention begins the moment you have the courage to silence the world long enough to finally listen. Think of it like this. The mind is like a lake. If the surface is constantly disturbed by wind and waves, you cannot see your reflection. But when the water is still, it becomes a mirror, and you can finally see yourself clearly. Noise is the wind that disturbs the lake of your mind. Solitude and silence are what make it calm again. In that calmness, you find vision, clarity, and truth. This is why you must create daily rituals to detach from the chaos. It could be sitting alone in meditation, walking quietly in nature, or simply turning off your phone and breathing in stillness. These moments may seem small, but they are the foundation of reinvention because in them you reconnect with your own essence. The tragedy of most lives is that people fear silence. They fear being alone with their thoughts, so they fill every empty space with noise. Music, conversations, screens, distractions. They do not realize that by running from silence, they are running from themselves. But if you want to reinvent yourself, you must face yourself. Silence will show you your doubts, your pain, your regrets, but it will also show you your strength, your potential, and your deepest truth. Reinvention does not come by avoiding who you are. It comes by listening deeply until you uncover the authentic self that has been buried beneath the noise. The man who always listens to others will always be shaped by others. He will live a life designed by the crowd, not by his own soul. But the man who listens to himself, who trusts his inner voice, becomes unstoppable because he is guided by something that cannot be shaken by opinion or circumstance. This is why I tell you, if you want to change instantly, if you want to begin your reinvention today, you must start by detaching from the noise. Protect your silence as if it were gold. Step away from the voices that weaken you. Guard the hours where you can hear yourself clearly. Listen to your own vision and let it lead you, because only then will you become the person you were meant to be. Remember this: the world will never stop talking, but you have the power to stop listening. Reinvention does not come from following the crowd. It comes from stepping away from it. Only when you detach from the noise and listen to yourself will you find the strength to create a new life, one that reflects your truth instead of the world's distractions. 6. Take action without delay. If you truly want to reinvent yourself, you must understand one thing with absolute clarity. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Most people never change, not because they do not dream, not because they do not have talent, but because they are paralyzed by hesitation. They wait. They wait for the right time, the perfect circumstances, the approval of others, or the feeling of motivation that never arrives. They tell themselves, "One day I will start," but that one day never comes, and their lives remain the same until the very end. Reinvention is not for those who wait, it is for those who act. When I was training, I did not waste time waiting for the perfect conditions. If it rained, I trained in the rain. If it was hot, I trained in the heat. If I was tired, I trained tired. Because I understood that action itself creates the conditions for growth. You cannot sit and think your way into becoming stronger. You must move, strike, sweat, and struggle. You cannot think your way into confidence. You must step forward into situations that scare you. You cannot think your way into mastery. You must practice daily, fail often, and learn by doing. Reinvention is never born in the mind alone. It is forged in the fire of immediate action. The danger of hesitation is that the longer you delay, the stronger your doubts become. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you are training your mind to accept weakness. Every delay adds another brick to the wall of procrastination until you are trapped inside it. Fear feeds on hesitation, and hesitation grows into paralysis. But when you take action immediately, without delay, you kill fear before it has a chance to control you. You build momentum, and momentum is the lifeblood of reinvention. Action does not need to be dramatic. Reinvention is not about changing everything in one day. It is about taking one bold step each day that moves you closer to the person you want to become. If you want to be disciplined, start with a single decision to wake up early tomorrow. If you want to be stronger, begin with 10 push-ups today. If you want to learn, read one page now instead of promising yourself you will read an entire book later. Small actions may seem insignificant, but they compound into transformation. The man who acts daily, even in small ways, will reinvent himself faster than the man who endlessly plans but never moves. Understand this clearly. The perfect time will never come. Life will never align in such a way that everything feels safe, easy, and comfortable for you to begin. The perfect time is a lie created by fear. The only time you will ever have is now. This moment, this decision, this action, these are the only things that matter. The man who acts now reinvents himself now. The man who waits for later never reinvents himself at all. Think of life as water. Water flows, and if you do not step into it, the current passes by and never returns. Opportunity is the same. If you hesitate, the chance is gone, and no amount of regret will bring it back. Action is how you step into the flow of life and allow it to carry you toward transformation. Each action, no matter how small, is a declaration to yourself and to the world. I am no longer who I was. I am becoming someone new. That is reinvention. So I tell you, do not wait. Do not think too long. Do not seek permission from others. If you know what you must do, act. Act boldly, act quickly, and act with discipline. Every day you hesitate, you give strength to your old self. Every day you act, you give birth to your new self. Reinvention is not a future event. It is a present choice. The moment you decide to act without delay, you begin the process of becoming the person you have always wanted to be. Live with relentless self-honesty. Reinvention is not only about what you do each day, but also about how honest you are with yourself. Most people lie to themselves without even realizing it. They tell themselves they are working hard when in truth they are distracted half the time. They tell themselves they are disciplined when in truth they only act when it feels easy. They tell themselves they are strong when in truth they avoid the challenges that would reveal their weakness. These lies are comforting, but comfort has no place in transformation. Reinvention demands the courage to look at yourself without excuses, without illusions, and without masks. When I trained, I did not measure myself against others. I measured myself against the truth of my own effort. If I was lazy, I admitted it. If my technique was sloppy, I corrected it. If my fear held me back, I confronted it. This kind of honesty is painful because it strips away your excuses. It leaves you naked in front of your own shortcomings. But in that nakedness lies the power to change. You cannot reinvent yourself if you are still clinging to lies about who you are. Only when you face yourself exactly as you are can you begin to shape who you wish to become. Most people choose denial because denial feels safe. They would rather protect their ego than challenge their reality. But the man who lives in denial can never transform. He remains trapped in a false world where he believes he is already enough, already disciplined, already strong. Reinvention begins the moment you decide to live with relentless self-honesty, even if the truth is uncomfortable. If you are weak, admit it, and then work to become strong. If you are inconsistent, admit it, and then train discipline. If you are lost, admit it, and then find your direction. Honesty is not weakness. It is the foundation of growth. Think of it like a craftsman shaping a blade. If the steel has cracks and the craftsman pretends they do not exist, the blade will shatter in battle. But if he studies the flaws, admits where the steel is weak, and reforges it with fire and hammer, the blade becomes unbreakable. You are the same. You cannot hide your cracks if you wish to reinvent yourself. You must face them, expose them to the fire of honesty, and reshape yourself until the weakness is gone. Living with relentless self-honesty does not mean criticizing yourself harshly or drowning in shame. It means respecting yourself enough to tell the truth. It means holding yourself accountable when you fall short and pushing yourself to rise higher. It means refusing to settle for illusions and demanding from yourself the reality of greatness. Every day, ask yourself, am I truly doing my best, or am I lying to myself? That question, answered honestly, will reinvent you faster than any praise or recognition from the outside world. The man who is brutally honest with himself becomes unstoppable because he knows exactly where he stands and exactly what he must do to move forward. No illusion blinds him, no excuse chains him, no lie weakens him. He lives in truth, and truth is the strongest foundation for reinvention. If you want to transform your life, begin by telling yourself the truth, even when it hurts. And let that truth fuel the actions that create the new you. Master the power of consistency. Reinvention is not a single act, nor is it a sudden moment of inspiration. It is the result of small actions repeated daily until they carve a new version of you into existence. Most people fail not because they do not start, but because they cannot continue. They practice discipline for a week, they wake early for a few days, they train their body for a short time, and then they fall back into old habits. They look at change as an event instead of a process, as something dramatic instead of something steady. But true reinvention belongs to those who understand the power of consistency. When I trained, I did not rely on motivation or bursts of inspiration. Motivation is like fire. It burns bright for a moment but fades quickly. Consistency is like the sun. It rises every day without fail. My punches did not become sharp from one training session. They became sharp because I practiced them thousands of times. My kicks did not become powerful in 1 week. They became powerful because I repeated them endlessly until my body could not forget. This is what most people overlook. Greatness is not built in a single day, but it is built every single day. Consistency transforms effort into mastery. Consistency is not about perfection. You will have days when you are tired, when you fall short, when you do not perform as well as you wanted. That does not matter. What matters is that you return again and again, no matter what. Too many people quit because they expect quick results. They want transformation in a week, success in a month, mastery in a year. When they do not see immediate change, they abandon the path. But reinvention does not work like that. Each day of consistent effort is like adding a drop of water into a jar. At first, it looks empty, but as the days pass, the jar fills. Then one day, it overflows. That overflow is transformation, but it only comes if you keep adding drops one day after another. Consistency is the proof of commitment. Anyone can train when it is convenient. Anyone can act when it is exciting. But the man who continues when it is boring, when it is difficult, when no one is watching, that is the man who reinvents himself. Each day you return to the habit, you engrave it deeper into your character until it is no longer something you do. It is who you are. Reinvention is not about temporary changes. It is about becoming a new person through repetition until the old you no longer exists. Think of a sculptor shaping stone. One strike of the hammer does not reveal the statue. Even 100 strikes will not reveal it. But thousands of strikes, each one small, each one consistent, eventually uncover the masterpiece hidden inside the block. You are that stone, and consistency is the hammer. Every day you strike, every day you act, you are chipping away the old self and revealing the new self that has been waiting to emerge. Without consistency, the masterpiece remains hidden. With consistency, reinvention is inevitable. So I tell you this: stop chasing sudden transformation. Stop expecting instant change. Instead, commit yourself to the steady rhythm of daily habits. Even if progress feels slow, stay the course. Even if the results are invisible, stay disciplined. Even if the world doubts you, keep striking the stone. Because the man who is consistent cannot be defeated. Consistency will break resistance. It will silence doubt, and it will reshape your life from the ground up. Reinvent yourself by mastering the power of consistency, and you will find that the steady path, walked with discipline, leads to transformation more certain and more permanent than any shortcut ever could. Reinvention is not something you wait for. It is something you create. Too many people hope that one day life will suddenly change for them, that some external event will rescue them from who they are. But life does not work that way. The world does not hand you transformation. It challenges you to build it. And the way you build it is through your daily habits, through the choices you make again and again, until they carve a new self into existence. You now know the path. Own your mornings so you set the tone for the day before the world touches you. Move daily because your body is not just flesh and bone, but the vessel of your spirit. Guard your mind like a fortress so negativity cannot take root inside you. Choose discipline over comfort every day because comfort will destroy you while discipline will create you. Detach from the endless noise so you can finally hear the truth within yourself. Take action without delay because hesitation is death to transformation. Live with relentless self-honesty so you cannot hide from your weaknesses and excuses. And above all, master consistency, because it is not one day of change that reinvents you, but but the steady rhythm of discipline that turns effort into mastery. Reinvention is not complicated. It is not magic. It is a decision you make every morning when you open your eyes, a decision you repeat every day with your actions. Each time you rise early, each time you train when it is difficult, each time you guard your thoughts, each time you choose truth over excuses, you are reinventing yourself in real time. Do not think of reinvention as some distant future. Understand that it is happening right now, in this very moment, depending on whether you choose to act with discipline or to surrender to weakness. Remember this: no one else can reinvent you. Not your family, not your friends, not your teachers, not even your heroes. Reinvention is yours to create and yours alone. The world can inspire you, but it cannot walk the path for you. You must take the steps. You must build the habits. You must strike the stone again and again until the old you shatters and the new you stands unshakable. So I leave you with this truth. Reinvention is not something you talk about. It is something you live. Begin now, not tomorrow. Begin small, but begin with discipline. Begin even if you feel fear, even if you feel weak, because strength and confidence will come only after you move. If you embrace these habits, if you live them daily, the person you are today will not recognize the person you become tomorrow. And that, my friend, is the essence of reinvention.